Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now, Sell Now on ET Now show where we get your answers for all of your stock-related queries. Remember, viewers, you can write to us live on the WhatsApp number that will be flashing on your screen. Do remember, each time you write to us, mention your name, the stock that you're looking to invest in. Mention that name as well. And if you've already invested in the stock, mention your buy price or quantity as well as the time horizon that you intend to hold that particular counter. And that way, our experts will be able to help you better on that particular front. And talking about our experts, today we have Kunal who's joining us on the technicals, while on the fundamentals we have Shahina Mukadam joining us on the show. Very good morning to you, Kunal, as well as Shahina. Thank you so much for joining us on Buy Now, Sell Now. And Kunal, we have you back on a consecutive day, and let's actually kickstart from your view from the city on the city gas distribution company. Yesterday you were answering a query on that, so let me get your view on that. I will recap the query for you. The query that I have is coming in from N. Ramesh from Hyderabad. He's a senior citizen, long-term investor. He's holding he's holding 100 shares of IGL at a price of around 538 rupees per share. He wants to know what's the prospect of both the companies, that is IGL, MGL also.
Well, of course, yes. So, good morning, first of all. And, as I was mentioning yesterday, that, these stocks are very difficult to try and, decipher when it comes to technical analysis, because these stocks, they tend to give signs of breakout, and those breakouts, they reverse immediately, for stocks, and we've seen sharp correction. So, it's not as if the swing correction is 5-10% for these stocks. Sometimes the swing corrections are more than 20 to 30% into these names. Look at the recent sell-off for IGL. The stock fell from, I think, 550-60 levels to 350 odd mark in a matter of just about 1 to 2 weeks. So that's the concern for these stocks. So net and my belief is that you should not be holding on to these stocks from a long-term play, but it's just that the stock is now at an extremely oversold territory. So I would expect a bounce into stocks like IGL, MGL. So my sense is that maybe if the stocks comes closer to 425 to 450 range, that could be a much better range where you may look to exit the stock and then shift on to some other quality stocks.
All right, that's the day coming in on city gas distribution companies. But the next query that I have is on Castrol India. And Shahina, first of all, a very good morning to you. And the second is that Venkat Ramani wants your help with this investment. He's holding more than 220 shares at a buy price of 269 rupees. He's at a loss in this one, but what's the outlook? Continue to hold on. He can stay invested for the next 12 months.
I would say you continue to hold. It's a blue chip, and it's a very steady growth company. You're not going to see any multi-bagger moves from Castrol, but it's a zero debt company, strong balance sheet. It is investing in R&D to have a long-term product portfolio, which actually will sort of replace some of its existing products over the next 10 odd years. So I think plans are in place. It's a multinational, so you hold.
All right. This next query that I have is coming in from Thomas George from Kochi. He has Tejas Networks, which he's purchased at the levels of 1150 rupees per share, about 1,000 shares of Tejas Networks. Kunal, what to do now with this one?
Well, it's a very, I would say consolidative kind of a chart. The stock over the last 4-5 months has been a lot more sideways. I think it's been trading into a range, pivot range 1300 for point 1300 for Tejas Network, and the stock has moved into a band of 1150 to 1400 broadly in this last few months of consolidation. So I believe that if it comes closer to 1150, 1100 levels, that's a point where you should look to average, because eventually these consolidations, and over the last many many occurrences of such consolidations, we've seen the stock heading towards a breakout on the upside. So you should try and take advantage of corrective phases for the stock to average out and reduce your cost price. I would believe 1100 to 1150 could be a good range where you can look to average in case if the stock happens to test those levels.
All right, moving on, and Kunal, the next query is specifically for you, coming in from Vivek. He wants your help with HDFC Bank. He's holding it from a price of 1300 rupees. Any targets to keep? He can still hold for the next 1 year.
Yeah, I would be very bullish on HDFC Bank, and I think over the last many weeks I've been highlighting that the stock is getting ready for a breakout towards lifetime high levels. Those lifetime highs have been reached for HDFC Bank, but I believe that this could just be the starting point of a very strong set of momentum. My belief is that over the next 6 months or so, I would expect the stock to head towards 2000 plus kind of a target range, unless there is any kind of a major sell-off across the global markets or something like that. Only then I think I would believe that the stock price could reverse for HDFC Bank. But as of now, would maintain the bullish stance and from the next 3 to 6 months, you can keep 2000 plus as a target range for the stock.
All right, so that's the take coming in on HDFC Bank. The next one is coming from Padma Siva from Bangalore. Wants to know about Vedanta, 60 shares above 430 rupees per share. I believe we actually answered the query on Vedanta yesterday also. So let me move on to next one. This one is coming from Drishti, who's writing to us from UAE. Has about 3,800 shares of Trident at the price of 46 rupees per share. What price should she look to exit Trident? And apart from that, we have Shankar, who's writing to us from Tuticorin, wants to know about Trident, who's already purchased at 37.85 rupees per share. Kunal, what should he do?
See, my belief is that Trident and many of these textile related stocks which had moved up higher, I think in the last 2-3 days, this is more of an event driven rally. So some sort of news flow positively impacting the stock price, and that's led into these stocks going to a recovery mode. But when you look at the charts for Trident over the last 2-3 years, 2022, I think if I'm not wrong, is where the stock made a high of 70-75 odd range, and from there the stock has been just consistently correcting. So that's the concern for holding a stock like Trident. I would believe that in case if it comes closer to your cost price of 45, 47 odd, say in this leg of rally for Trident, that's a good time where you may look to go for an exit for the stock and come back into the traditional large cap names.
All right then, moving on, and Shahina, I'm coming to you for the next query. This one is from RS Mundada. He wants to know, is this a right time to buy Rites as well as PTC India, but specifically on Rites, Shahina, if you can help him with your take. He's looking out for a short-term investment out here, but in the long run as well, how do you see the prospects?
I would prefer that if he's looking for a short-term investment, he buys it at slightly lower levels. I don't think this is the best price to buy it at. He should probably look at somewhere close to about 280 odds so that he can make some money in the shorter term.
All right. The next one is coming from Jai Krishnan. He's writing to us from Kerala. He wants to know about Waaree Energies for the medium term. Recently listed counter, and what a bumper listing this one has seen, Shahina. But have you been able to track this one by any chance? And do you think that these levels are good levels to enter Waaree Energies?
A very expensive stock, but it has raised money recently, which it is going to invest. I think almost $300 it's going to invest in the US markets to expand capacity in its solar business. It already has got orders in place. So if you're looking at it in the longer term, yeah, it's got capabilities, it's got a good business plan. Valuations are expensive, so you're looking to buy it for the longer term, or then keep buying it at any dips.
All right, that's the day coming in on Waaree Energies. But with this, it's now time to slip into a very short break. Viewers, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back, and let's continue taking all your stock related queries. Then, and Kunal, I'm coming to you for the next query. This one is coming in from Chandrasekhar from Hyderabad, and he wants to know about Adani Energy Solutions. How is the technical setup looking like? And after this, Shahina, I would also like to have your take, because he wants a view on the fundamental as well as technical take. But Kunal, you first.
I think I a week back I mentioned that the stock is trying to come back into closing of the gap. Adani Energy Solutions, there was a gap which was created around the 700 to 880 odd mark for the stock, 860, 880 levels on the higher side. That gap was filled, and post that the stock fell into a correction yet again. That's the bigger concern for the most of the stocks from the Adani group, where these stocks have been very volatile. They've gone through periods of very sharp correction, and those are 30, 40, 50% of swing corrections for these stocks, and then a V-shaped recovery. But those V-shaped recoveries are met with a lot of resistance into the stock. So that generally is a classical way to summarize the trend for Adani Energy Solutions. I would believe that it's better to avoid these names unless you are completely dedicated towards the high beta pocket in terms of trading. Even if that's the case, I would believe that buying above 880 could be a better strategy for Adani Energy Solutions if you are a high risk trader.
All right, that's the technical take on Adani Energy. With Shahina, any take that you have on this counter?
I agree with Kunal. It's a very risky stock to hold, given the fact that the promoter is having issues in the US, and the main problem there will be its fundraising ability going forward to meet its expansion plans. Having said that, I would also say that Adani Energy, it's a switch even if you're holding it at current levels, because if you look at pure valuations, it is extremely expensive. 1 year forward, we're expecting a EPS of about 8 rupees, which at current levels gives you a very high P and even on other valuation parameters. So it would be a safer thing to switch as of now.
All right, let me move on then and let me take this next query that is coming in from Raghav from Delhi. He has a query on NMDC Steel, about 1,000 shares at a price of 48 rupees per share for the long term. Is it good to hold and also to acquire some more of this shares in the portfolio for the longer term? What's your take, Shahina? Fundamentally, NMDC Steel makes sense?
I think it is good to hold, and also you could add, in my view, given the fact that I believe they're also going to they're talking about a bonus issue, which of course doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any changes in terms of EPS fees, but what it does is brings in more liquidity and some, tax planning if some investor wants to do. So I would say you can add.
All right, that's an ad coming in on NMDC Steel. But moving on to the next query, and Shahina, any take on Gokaldas Exports, wherein Jay from Mumbai is holding 100 shares. His buy price is 1,064 rupees. He wants a long-term view on this one. Is that a hold or sell for him?
Actually, I'll pass this question. I don't have details.
All right then, Kunal, on the technical setup, if you can guide him, how is this stock looking like, and would you suggest a hold since his buy price is very close to the current market price?
Yeah, I would suggest a hold into the stock. I remember tracking the stock, when it was almost at 150 odd rupees, a few years back. The stock has done reasonably well for itself, moving on to that 4-digit mark. Even the last, 4-5 months, the stock has gone to a consolidation. Very recently, I think the stock is confirming a breakout this 300-400 point consolidation from 750, 800 as a base towards 1000 plus as a resistance. So I believe that it looks attractive, and now could be a good time where we may expect the stock to move up higher by, say, a margin of another 100 to 150 odd points. So if you're looking for a shorter term kind of a target, then I think probably closer to 1150, 1200 could be a target range for the stock.
All right, this next one is coming in from Lakshmi from Bangalore. She has Oil India about 100 shares at a price of 537. NTPC 25 shares at a price of around 432. She wants to know whether it's good stock to hold for some more time. What's your take on these counters? Shahina, both of them are PSUs.
Would say it is, it would make more sense to switch if you're holding these two stocks. In PSUs, as of now, I would either prefer banking or then defense. I think both these stocks are a switch for me.
All right, moving on to the next query and sticking with the PSU basket, and Kunal, Tom's wants to have your take on Power Grid. He's holding 200 shares. His buy price is 358 rupees. He's had some mild loss in this one, but in the next 6 months, where do you see the stock headed? And would you advise him to hold or exit?
See, I would advise to hold, and I think strategically what we should also be looking to do is try and average it out whenever it comes closer to its 200 DMA, which I think is placed at 320 for Power Grid. And I think if it happens, then you can reduce the cost price towards 335 odd for the stock from the current average of 350 plus, which you have. I think that could be a better strategy for a stock like Power Grid. So and that would probably give you more comfort into holding the stock, because there is this a prolonged period of price correction the stock goes into, and a very short span when the stock gets into a rally or a bounce back, and in that phase of the rally the stock crosses the previous major highs for itself. So I think you should try and take advantage of that prolonged consolidation. The stock is currently going through one such. So I think I would suggest an average out closer to 320 mark.
All right, this next query that I have is coming from Ramesh J. He's writing to us from Dubai. He wants to know about IIFL. 350 shares at a price of 494 odd rupees or so. For the last 6 months, he's been holding, but he's suffering a loss in this. What should he do? What should he do, Shahina, given the fact that IIFL did have news flow as well, and that's one of the reasons why the share price saw a correction and then a recovery. For a viewer, makes sense to stay put?
I would say it's better to switch. There are better stocks available in the NBFC space. He could also look at something like maybe Sundaram rather than IIFL Securities.
All right, that's the take on this particular counter. But moving on to the next one, and Kunal, this one is coming in from a viewer. His name is Imtiaz. He really admires you as well as your advice. He takes it very seriously. His query is on two counters. One of them is L&T, where he's holding 200 shares. Buy price is 3,465 rupees. He can still hold for the next 6 months. And he also has Siemens India, 28 shares, buy price is 7,700 rupees. But this he can hold for the next 4 months. What to do with both of these?
Thank you so much for your kind words. So on the two stocks which you have, L&T as well as Siemens, I would suggest a hold on both of these names. And I think this is a classical comeback from the cap good major, that's L&T, and even from Siemens, because what we've seen in the last 3 months is very rare kind of a price action. We've hardly seen L&T going into like a 10%, 15% correction and then going to a recovery.
All right, so that's the view coming in on those cap good names. We have.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.